I went to Best Buy today and I managed to take a look at a couple of things. One of them was the Asus eePC 1000. Now before I begin, some of you might ask, well, why don't I show the product itself? I've only got two pictures, and in fact, before I start, let me go ahead and bring those up. I'll just go ahead and bring up the pictures I took. Here's the eePC 1000. This is the Windows version. It's black, obviously. There's also a white one. And here's another picture I took. And this is basically to have an idea of the size of the keyboard. And these are the only two pictures that I took of the eePC. Again, I don't actually have a unit myself because I have no need for one. With that, let us take a look at what I had to say about it. First of all, if you noticed in the picture, the keyboard seemed a lot more accommodating than the 901. The keyboard really is a lot nicer than the 901. Also, it seems to handle XP better than the 901, and that has to do with the amount of RAM on board, and we'll get to that shortly. It was hard to see because there was a black bar above the system to secure it from theft, but there was some extra buttons. One of them toggled the contrast of the screen, or the resolution of the screen. Let's see, there was another one. Another one toggled between power saving, basically if you wanted moderate performance, extreme performance, or extreme battery saving. You just did that with a click of a switch. Let's see. This particular unit had 60 gigabytes of flash storage on board, and I think that for a computer this cheap, it was going for $379. That it was a real bargain. There was no SD card on board, incidentally. And as I said before, it does run XP well. It has a gig of RAM, which, like I said, XP wasn't jerky at all. It wasn't slow at all. Apps are pretty standard for Windows. You got your regular complement of Windows stuff, Media Player, Internet Explorer, Microsoft Works. But there was one addition that they did put on it, and that was actually a couple of them. Besides stuff that Asus put on, Adobe Reader was put on there, pre-installed, and also Skype. Now this particular unit, in case you couldn't see in the picture, this one did not have the webcam, but there is a version that does have a webcam, and I believe that runs about $500. The reason why I was so impressed with the Windows, by the way, was because if I decide to get one of these in a couple of years, I'm going to keep an eye on them. I would get the Linux version, and if it does really well with Windows, then that means with Linux it must be as fast as a lightning bolt, and as stable as a steel box. That's about 5 miles high. Let's see. Overall rating was a 10 out of 10. I really like the eePC series. The 1000 is fantastic. If you want an eePC, go for the 1000. Don't even bother with the 7 or the 9-inch because the keyboard is way too cramped to really be productive. If you need a low-budget PC that you want to use while you're on campus, and all you're going to do really is surf the net, you're not going to be playing any high-end games, you're not going to be playing World of Warcraft or Steam, this will be perfect for you. I have seen some videos of the eePC running these types of games, but I personally wouldn't do it unless you were to upgrade your RAM, and I can't remember if the 1000 allows you to do that or not in terms of what the maximum capacity is for the RAM. But overall, for $379, if all you're going to do is write reports up for college and surf the net and YouTube and talk to friends on Skype, the eePC is a great bargain. It's light, it's cheap. If you get the Linux version, it's even better because it's open source. You do have to have some know-how, though, because in order to truly make it open source, you have to hack into the terminal, and I'm not sure how to do that on the eePC. But if you're the average Joe, let me tell you something. The average Joe, I'll bet you, from what I've seen, the interface to me, it's a lot easier than Windows. Instead of having a start menu and whatnot, everything is tabbed across the top of the screen. And you have tabs like Work, Play, Media, Office, and under each tab, with your Internet, you have all your web and your Skype and whatnot. With your Office, you have all the Open Office related programs. With Media, you have some games, and games, it does come with Penguin Racer, which is essentially a game where you take the Linux mascot Tux and you slide down a mountain. So that would be good for kids, but excuse me. But overall, I do think that the Linux version would probably be, if the Windows version of the eePC runs this well, then I think the Linux version will probably be twice as fast and infinitely more time, I can't speak. Have an infinitely higher stability ratings. But yeah, would I recommend the eePC? Absolutely. If you're afraid of Windows, go Linux. There's a version of Linux on board. I believe it's the miniature version of Xandros. Customized from the ground up for ease of use and quick turn it on, get it done, turn it off type of situations and productivity. So that's pretty much it. Again, the eePC 1000, 10 out of 10. Thank you for watching. Comments are welcome, and have a nice evening.